During the test, the teacher drinks too much and passes out. One of the students uses this chance to fly his drone and copy answers from others. His friend uses a very long mirror to see everyone's answers. Another student throws a ball, and it bounces all over the room, collecting answers from different papers before coming back to him. One more student tries to use a magnet to stick himself to the ceiling, but the security system catches him and throws him out. The long mirror and the ball get destroyed too. The drone is also stopped by a student with paper folding tricks. That student then shows that the room has hidden lasers. He throws paper at the lasers to block them, making it easier for him to cheat. In today's world, there are two types of people. Even if they grow up together and go to the same school, their lives become different because of one big thing: the National Special Level University Exam. If you pass, you succeed in life. If you fail, your future is ruined. That's why parents spend huge amounts of money to give their children the best education. Some kids are born super smart. These are called L-type students. But there's another way. Some students cheat to pass. They use fake skin, contact lenses, and even let scientists experiment on them to make them smarter. These students are known as C-type students. The exam setters now have high-tech security to catch cheaters. During the test, one blonde student uses his pencil to knock out all the teachers and starts copying from his L-type partner. But other L-type students don't like it. They attack his partner, but the blonde student fights to protect him. Jealous C-types also try to harm them. The blonde boy keeps fighting but gets surrounded, and soon the whole class turns into a battlefield. The students don't care about the outside world. Their only focus is the exam. In the end, the exam hall is completely destroyed and only the blonde boy survives. His L-type partner dies. Crying, he finishes copying the answers and passes the test, becoming a successful person later in life. In the present, a boy named Mu Ming and a girl named Kiao Yi also take the test. They need to pass to help Mu Ming's father, who is in jail for something he didn't do. The exam starts and Kiao Yi starts writing the answers. One student uses his drone to copy her answers. Another one uses a mirror. One guy throws a ball that goes around the whole room, collecting all the answers. Then another student tries something like Spider-Man tricks, but he gets caught and is kicked out of the room. Mu Ming stays close to Kiao Yi to protect her, while more students try different gadgets to cheat, but all of them fail. Mu Ming spreads pencil lead in the air and it reveals all the hidden lasers in the room. He then uses paper to block the laser sensors and disable the traps. Just as he starts copying Kiao Yi's answers, a bee robot attacks him. Its owner steps forward and says he won't let Mu Ming be the only one to pass. Other students also attack Mu Ming, but he defeats them easily. The bee robot owner turns out to be strong, and they start fighting. But their fight is stopped by the teacher, who traps everyone in the room and plans to keep them stuck until the exam time is over. The bee robot owner tries to use his bee again, but fails. Mu Ming escapes and activates the traps in the room, but the old teacher dodges everything. Finally, Mu Ming attacks the teacher using his paper tricks. The old man avoids the attacks, but suddenly he falls down. It turns out the bee owner managed to poison him during the fight. Now, only 1 minute is left. Mu Ming carefully cuts a small piece from Kiao Yi's answer sheet and writes his name on it to finish the test. As they walk back, Kiao Yi reminds him that this is only the beginning, and Mu Ming agrees. Suddenly, Mu Ming sees a beautiful white-haired girl and falls for her at first sight. While Mu Ming is still staring at Bai Ju, the teacher tells them about the next test and takes them to the North Pole. The teacher, known as Mammoth, is in charge of the exam. As soon as they arrive, Mammoth freezes all the bees. Kiao Yi manages to stay strong in the cold, and Mu Ming protects himself using wind. Once the test is over, Mu Ming tries to talk to Bai Ju and tells her that he and Kiao Yi are actually cousins. Bai Ju shows them her exam pen and says it's a lucky charm. Suddenly, the bee-boy shows up again, but gets knocked out by Kiao Yi in one hit. He falls for her right away, but she hits him again. Later, the Mammoth teacher calls Bai Ju to his office and accuses her of being a C-type student. She tries to defend herself, but the teacher shows her footage from the exam, pointing out how suspicious she looks while holding her pen. Just as he is about to break her pen, Mu Ming stops him and tells him that Bai Ju is innocent and an L-type student like him. Mammoth decides to retake the test and warns that if Bai Ju fails, both she and Mu Ming will be expelled. When the exam starts, the teacher and both students watch from the control room. Mu Ming realizes that the Mammoth teacher made the exam harder for Bai Ju. Seeing this, Mu Ming decides to get her pen back. A big fight breaks out, but he finally manages to bring her the pen. By the time he gets it to her, Bai Ju has already finished the test. The other teacher announces that she scored perfectly, forcing Mammoth to apologize. Bai Ju then shows them that her pen has a picture of her parents inside, which is why she always keeps playing with it. For the next exam, Wang Sensei announces that it will happen on a flying plane. The other teacher blows up all electronic devices on the plane and throws out all the students caught cheating. This causes the plane to shake badly, but Mu Ming uses his wind powers to stabilize it. To his surprise, even the bee-boy gets thrown out of the plane. Later, during lunch, Bai Ju shows up and thanks Mu Ming for helping her in the last exam. She wants to return the favor, and Mu Ming asks for a pen like hers as a reward. Ba Jiu suggests that they go buy one together. They eventually reach a cafe, and Mu Ming's thoughts start going wild. Suddenly, Qiao Yi, who is hiding behind his statue, splashes water on him to calm him down. As they enter the cafe, a stylish receptionist named Lun Yu immediately falls for Mu Ming and takes him to a private room for a special chat. In the back room, Lun Yu asks Mu Ming what kind of pen he wants. Qiao Yi is eavesdropping and completely misunderstands their conversation. Lun Yu then shows Mu Ming a pair of pens that can transfer answers from one to another. Mu Ming refuses, saying he's already found the pen he wants. Afterward, he shows Ba Jiu the same pen she has, but in a different color. Lun Yu keeps staring at Mu Ming with a mischievous look, clearly having other thoughts in mind. A few days later, the students gather at the pool. Wang Sensei announces that they can have a rest day, but only after they take a test. Suddenly, the pool splits in half, and the students are sent to an even bigger pool where the exam will happen. As the exam starts, students begin using their tricks to cheat, but out of nowhere, a shark appears and starts attacking them. The shark is actually the teacher for this test, and it has an electronic brain. Soon, more sharks show up, and they all start targeting the C-type students. But the sharks aren't satisfied. One of them uses a special move to create a tornado, throwing sharks at the students. The girls spin around in the whirlpool, but Mu Ming uses his wind powers to stop the sharks from hitting them. He then faces the shark directly and tells it to stop attacking L-type students. The shark doesn't listen and keeps attacking, saying she'll decide who deserves to live on this planet. The doctor controlling the sharks realizes they've gone out of control, but Wang Sensei wants the exam to continue. The shark teacher orders the other sharks to destroy all life forms in the pool and starts firing electricity at Mu Ming. The B-boy tries to help Mu Ming, but gets distracted by Qiao Yi's exposed melons. Meanwhile, the shark offers Mu Ming a deal to become her pet, but he refuses. Using his powers, he creates a water tornado to counter the shark's tornado. His tornado throws all the students out of the whirlpool and ends up swallowing the shark. In the end, Mu Ming catches Qiao Yi's answer sheet and makes a perfect copy of it. At the same time, a shark attacks Lun Yu, but he defeats it, saying that Mu Ming is the one who's messing with his heartstrings. Later, Mu Ming goes to fight Lun Yu in a place full of lava. Meanwhile, Bai Jiu is giving an interview along with Jun, who says that everyone is overreacting. He calls them a sword and scabbard pair, while Qiao Yi thinks it was destiny that brought them together. Wang, as a teacher, says she's taking the whole situation very seriously. Bai Jiu tells them that Mu Ming and Qiao Yi are top students because they actually study hard. When the interviewer calls Mu Ming an L-type student, Li stays quiet and doesn't correct them. Meanwhile, a white Buddha and a red-haired girl are also interviewed. But during the interview, the girl trips, falls on top of the boy, and then slaps him hard as punishment. After that, the interviewers ask about the shokatsu technique that Mu Ming uses. Li knows about it, but Bai Jiu doesn't seem to have any idea. Apparently, Mu Ming had gone to meet Lun Yu at a church, where Lun Yu broke the pen Mu Ming had bought earlier. However, Wang believes that Mu Ming and Lun Yu are actually good friends. Bai Jiu and Li agree, laughing as they remember how they used to share straws and look at each other's pickles while using the bathroom. In the end, Bai Jiu confirms it's the same person, and Li introduces that person as Lun Yu, who recently transferred to their school. At the same time, Mu Ming is lying in front of Lun Yu, completely defeated by him. The next exam takes place on a warship, and the teacher is an artificially created brain. The exam begins with the B-boy getting thrown into the air and sent to the exam location. Meanwhile, Qiao Yi, wearing a hood, walks into a bar and finds Mu Ming sitting there. She confronts him for giving up after losing one fight. She tells him to trust her and takes him on a boat to another island. Apparently, it's the same island where Mu Ming's father is being held prisoner. On the way, the old man sailing the boat tells them that the shokatsu technique was originally created by a man named Komi. He used this technique to win battles against 3 kingdoms, but later decided to use it to help people instead. When they arrive, Mu Ming sees a masked man standing with a group of bad guys. The masked man shows Mu Ming his father and tells him that if he wants to save his father, he must show him the ultimate shokatsu technique. Mu Ming attacks first, but the masked man easily blocks his move. Then Mu Ming tries his paper skills, but that also doesn't work. The masked man mocks him, calling him a third-rate student and saying he knows nothing about the shokatsu technique. Seeing Mu Ming's determination, the masked man changes his mind and decides to train him for one day. He also warns that if Mu Ming fails, he will take Qiao Yi away. After that, Mu Ming takes an elevator to the top floor where the masked man is already waiting for him. The man is shaking because he is afraid of heights. He tells Mu Ming that to truly master the shokatsu technique, a person must learn to control both fire and wind. The masked man shows Mu Ming a live video of Qiao Yi tied up and tells him to begin by obtaining fire. Mu-ming arrives at the training area, which turns out to be a sauna. Inside, the people there make Mu-ming take off his clothes and sit with them. They try to motivate him by enjoying the skin-to-skin contact. Mu-ming tries to leave, but they stop him until the training session ends. After the sauna session, Mu-ming is taken to another room. There, someone shows him two types of dolls, one that burns easily and one that doesn't. Mu-ming's job is to separate thousands of dolls into two piles. Once he finishes, he is taken to an even higher floor to fight a robot. While fighting, Mu-ming starts feeling strange. The robot explains that it's due to a lack of oxygen at such a high altitude. Even though he's struggling to breathe, Mu-ming attacks the robot and finishes it off with a fire kick. He is surprised to see that he has finally attained the power of fire. However, his training isn't over yet. He must now defeat the Masked Man. Mu-ming attacks with fire, but the Masked Man easily puts it out using wind. The Masked Man tells Mu-ming that without wind, fire is incomplete. Mu-ming then combines both fire and wind to attack. His move is so strong that it breaks the Masked Man's mask, revealing that the man is actually his father. Before leaving, Mu-ming's father gives him a pen and tells him that with this pen, Mu-ming can face any challenge that comes his way. While the B-boy is so confused about where he has landed, Wong takes the students to a river for their next test. The challenge is simple. If they fail, they'll fall down a huge waterfall. At the same time, Mu-ming is fighting Lun Yu again. He starts by moving closer and attacking Lun Yu with paper planes, managing to cut his cheek. The fight continues, but Lun Yu easily blocks all of Mu-ming's moves. When a teacher tries to stop them, both Mu-ming and Lun Yu attack him together, causing the teacher to fall down the waterfall. After that, Mu-ming takes out the pen his father gave him and uses a fire attack, but Lun Yu stops it as well. Mu-ming realizes that Lun Yu is using his strings for defense. Lun Yu agrees and says that nothing can harm him as long as he has his threads. Mu-ming then creates several firebirds to attack Lun Yu. Qiao Yi finishes her exam and moves toward the fight. The teacher who fell earlier manages to climb back up and decides to fire a missile at the students, but he stops when Li appears and controls his mind, stopping him from interfering. As Lun Yu destroys the firebirds, he notices that Mu-ming is controlling them with wind powers. Suddenly, Mu-ming sees that Qiao Yi's boat is about to crash into a boulder. He quickly destroys the boulder with an attack, saving her boat. However, both Mu-ming and Qiao Yi fall down the waterfall. Lun Yu's strings catch them before they hit the bottom. Lun Yu then shows up and tells Mu-ming that he wouldn't feel right if Mu-ming died before finishing their fight. They agree to continue the battle some other day. The next day, Wong announces that it's time for the final exam of the semester. As soon as the test starts, she leaves the room, while Mu-ming, Qiao Yi, Li, and Jun stay alert for any C-type students. All the windows suddenly shut, and another teacher enters the room. Jun sends his beetle to attack the teacher, but the beetle falls in love with the old man instead and turns on June. The old man casts a spell, making several students fall in love with him. Mu-ming realizes that the man is a famous actor. One by one, the students recognize him and fall under his charm. Soon, almost the entire exam room is hypnotized by him. Li tries to use her mind control powers, but she fails and ends up falling for the old man too. The teacher explains that he came to reform the C-type students. Mu-ming tries to attack the old man, but also fails. He gets hypnotized and suddenly believes he wants to become a chef. At the right moment, Lun Yu steps in and breaks the love spell. He fights the old man, but quickly gets overpowered. Finally, Mu-ming uses a combination of fire and wind to burn the old man and destroy the exam hall. The old man, desperate, tries to charm Qiao Yi next, but she doesn't fall for his spell. It turns out that Qiao Yi has never watched TV and doesn't recognize the actor at all. After the battle, Wang returns and tears Mu-ming's exam paper in half. She announces that the real exam will now begin. After the announcement, Wang noticed the entire school split in half. A giant tower rises from the middle of the school, and it starts sending signals to the moon. Lun Yu notices that the moon is moving closer to Earth. Wang explains that if Mu-ming doesn't clear the final test, the moon will crash into Earth. She also reveals that she's actually from another planet with far more advanced technology than humans. When the students laugh at her, she snaps and ties Bai Jiu to the tower. She tells Mu-ming that if he wants to save both Bai Jiu and the planet, he must pass the test. Mu-ming takes out his pen to start the exam, but Wang activates an anti-shoketsu device that disables the pen's powers. With no other choice, Mu-ming is forced to use his own brain to come up with a solution. Li tries to control Wang's mind but fails again. Jun and Lun Yu also attack, but Wang easily defeats them. Just then, several teachers arrive to help save Earth. They all attack Wang together, but she deals with them just as easily. As the battle continues, Jun's beetle manages to disable the anti-shoketsu device. Lun Yu uses his threads to trap Wang, giving Mu-ming the chance to split his pen into two parts and unleash the highest level of the shoketsu technique. This technique absorbs power from all the pens in the area, covering Mu-ming's body in flames. Wang tries to attack him but fails. At the same time, Qiao Yi finishes answering all the questions on the test paper, which causes the tower to collapse. Mu Ying manages to save Bai Jiu, but as they celebrate, he suddenly realizes that his pants are torn and his sausage is hanging out for everyone to see. The next day, everything returns to normal. Wang and all the students act like nothing ever happened.